Hey everyone, excited to show you a course I haven't put on film yet. This is North Bonneville on the Washington side of the Columbia Gorge. I absolutely love this course, kind of a Oak Grove open field mix, kind of like Shampooey, but with a lot of wind. It's always in play here. First hole, 300-ish feet, it's down and to the right there. I threw a CD2 and made it under this low limb here, which is the biggest challenge on this hole for me. Got it way out in the field, and since somebody was on 18, I didn't get a chance to warm up my putting, so I had to take a chance to get a couple in on this first one. You'll see these trees moving around and stuff, and especially you'll see my clothes and the branches blowing around. It was probably 10 to 20 miles an hour all day with bigger gusts. There was times where it would just blow for like a minute straight and have my putts all wailing, so not too upset to take a par to start the round out on this tough hole. So then we walk across the street, hole 2, path and left is OB. You can kind of see it just poking up over the top there. I throw my Royal Rage at it and got a little inside it. Luckily it flipped up and ducked right next to the basket there. It only missed by maybe a foot and a half, and left me just a nice easy tap in with a very pretty view. 3, kind of open field, 380 feet. You start in this little tree tunnel here and throw straight out. The wind was just absolutely smashing me right now. I overcooked this one a little bit, hit this tree and kicked out in the middle of the fairway. Fine place to be with the road left and the path right, but the wind is just brutal out here and hard to really get a feel for distance. This was a stiff tailwind, and my tactic looked really good here, but it actually sailed to like 20 feet, and this is just it's laughable. I can't. Woo! The wind was bananas. I really have no idea how to putt in that. I don't have a super direct spin putt, so didn't really fight through it. So I'll take a bogey on an open field hole. Just one of those things with the weather. This next one's a tough one. 432. You can see the cart path to the right there, right and beyond is OB. I threw my Halo Wraith here, and I thought I kept it left enough, but once it turned over, it just didn't really come back, and then it caught the edge of the road there instead of skipping back in. So this is my drop from about where it went out, and this right to left headwind kind of pushed it over into the grass here. This is another tough hole in the tournament. This one, 8 people alive. It felt like 3 out of every 4 people on the card went OB with similar wins. So this is another bogey for me. It's another one of those holes where it should be parable pretty easy in low wind, but I'm not too upset about it. 5, it's down and to the left. This tree is a Mando left, and I just shanked my FD2 here. Luckily, it was short of the Mando and actually went backwards in the headwind here. It's still kind of straight ahead from me on a little cliff you'll see in a second here. So I had to keep a little low hyzer here. I wanted to get another 40 feet, but I didn't. I caught on the edge of these bushes here. And again, this green is a little teeny kind of peninsula with bushes on the right and a drop off behind it down to the river, which actually had some water in it. Sometimes it's dry. So it's actually danger. 6 here goes along that river. It's down to the left. You can't really see it. And to the right are these tennis courts. Basket's kind of straight ahead in this little tunnel. Headwind here again. I went Royal Rage and kept it pretty low, and it fought the wind really well. Dumped me down in circle 1. Again, this is green. It's really kind of scary. Behind those logs there, it drops off down to the creek as well. Those eat up discs pretty good, so you don't go too far, but I usually try and play off the berm to the right. Back across the road, 7. Baskets under this oak tree here. I love this hole. Just big spike hyzers here. This is usually one where the whole group kind of empties our bag and tries to nail it. I went right over the top of the basket with my A2 and left me like a 9-footer for my easy birdie. 8, cool tunnel shot. They usually Mando in the tournament, so you can't go around the left side of the tree there and over the other pin for a later hole. So I'm going straight ahead here with an FD3. I want a sharp hyzer as soon as it gets past this tree that you see on the left, because the green is another probably 70 feet to the left from there. So you'll see I'm at the top of this little hill here, and you have this little alcove down at the bottom that's surrounded by blackberry bushes. They get bigger and bigger as the year goes on, and end up with a lot of spikes in them, so you don't want to go long there. 9, back in the field. This tree in the middle here is a Mando right of it. I really struggled in the tournament. I kept throwing PDs, and I'd end up sawing them off and cutting left and missing the Mando. So I gave my CD2 a run out to the right, even in a bit of the headwind. And yet again, the wind is just getting in my head on these putts, and the hot putting I had the other day was kind of gone. So I wasn't able to cash in on either of these attempts. But honestly, again, in the wind, you know, par on most of these holes is something I'm totally fine with. 10, you're going back the other way through a double Mando football upright trees here. It's a lot harder than it looks, but I got through with the CD2. It rode a little bit and then hit a tree and left me at, I don't know, 60 feet or something. So I'm basically just pitching up here. And to be totally honest, I just didn't do a good job with it. I just chunked it out to the right, but not a big deal. Even that wind, it's still a 10-footer. 11, got a road up to the right, path to the left, and the basket is down and to the left there. My play here is usually an overstable hyzer. I did a little air bounce with this T-Bird 3 I was testing out to see if it could replace my Night Strike, and it actually worked really well here. Left me about 17 feet. I landed right in that exact spot both of my tournament rounds with an FD3 a couple months ago, so the consistency there is nice, even if my putting consistency isn't there. 12. This is a hard one to film. It's a mound straight ahead. It's hard to tell. And then the basket is down behind the mound to the left of this big tree here. I'm throwing my MD3 straight at it. I got a pretty good push on this and kept it straight and under the branches. Unfortunately, I just caught right at the top of the hill there and didn't go down the other side to the basket. So it left me about 35 downhill. And I didn't judge the distance too well and hit the bottom of the cage. But again, easy tap-in for a par. Par on most of these is just fine with how much snarb there is around the outside on some of these holes. You know, I'm glad just not to end up in it. This one is hard to film as well. It's down in a little ditch down there surrounded by blackberries. The basket is up on a log and up in the air, and the wind was bonkers down here. My disc, you can see it just fluttering through the air. These were really kind of nervy putts because if you miss, it's a hard comeback with that raised basket. 14 is a shot through this. I wouldn't call it a tunnel, but it's a whole bunch of scattered trees, and you got to get skinny through them. I did not. I ran my D1 low and into one of the trees, kicked to the left. Yet again, a pitch up. You know, I wasn't really pitching up. I was running these, but I didn't do a very good job, so I'll call these layups. But a par. Again, with the path in play here, it makes all of these holes a little dicier, distance control, and if you shank one, you're out of bounds, so there's extra punishment. This one is a dogleg right. The basket's actually back along the path, so you got to be careful with distance control OB. I wrist rolled my Lone Howl forehand here, but it left me out in the open. I didn't mark the basket here, but it's down in this clump of trees right up against the path, so I threw my A2 in hyzer and got lucky that it didn't roll over the path. Left me an easy tap in to save par. 16. This one is a tunnel shot. You got two different tunnels to pick from. There's a forehand tunnel to the left, or a lefty tunnel, and then a wider one to the right. I chose that and went over this carved bear's head. There's all these cool bears and Sasquatches and stuff carved around the park. I threw a FD2 there because I had a stiff headwind and wanted to keep it flat, and it worked really well. This is as close as I've ever been on this hole. I usually try and throw a mid and don't get there. So 17, low ceiling. I had a big tailwind, and I just wanted to try something to get it down there. So I threw this forehand roller. I don't think it filmed all that well. It was really hard to zoom in at the right rate with my editing skills, but this rolled over and hit the pole and just sat there next to it. It was one of the cooler forehand rollers I've thrown. I couldn't believe that actually held on and went over there. And then 18, 257, coming back to the building over there. That's the town hall for North Bonneville. I threw my FD2 again. I was feeling it a lot today, and it just drifted to the right and flexed out and went actually long of the basket, up almost up against the building. I wasn't maybe 3 or 4 feet from the building, just enough room to park. This is about a 35-footer, and I canned it. Got a little bit of that putting confidence back. So thanks for everybody coming along with this round. I love North Bonneville. I think it's a great little course. It's challenging with the wind all the time. I think it's a very charming little fun course. So thanks, everybody.